Okay, I'll get started. So welcome back. This is our final session in our Caring for the Veteran Caregiver virtual conference. So thank you so much for being here during the session. If you've been here since this morning, thank you for sticking around. It's been a great day, a lot of great information. For the last time, want to go through a few housekeeping items before we get started. The session is being recorded. We're going to post the workshop recordings to our YouTube channel and our website and share them through email. And someone had asked in our last session, they're all going to be separate recordings instead of just one long recording of the conference because it's a lot easier that way. And since we are recording, we just ask that you stay muted and leave your camera off during the session, just so it minimizes distractions and we can see and hear the speaker clearly. We are using chat box for questions. So if you have any questions or comments that you want to share, you can put those into the chat box and we will be sure if there are questions, we'll read them out when we get to Q&A, or Loretta may address them during the session. In case we run into any technical difficulties, please be patient and we will try to resolve them as quickly as possible. And then we do have closed captioning enabled. So if you would like to see the captions and you don't, you can click the More button on the Zoom toolbar there at the bottom. It has the 3 dots above it. And that's going to bring up a little window. And if you're not seeing the captions, you can click Show Subtitle. If you do see them and you don't want to see them, you can click Hide Subtitle. There's also the option to just view the transcript. And if you need to change the size of the captions, there is a subtitle settings, and you can click that and it'll let you change the size of those captions at the bottom of the screen. So I want to thank our speakers. I'm going to start it out with a short video.
How's everybody doing?
Hey guys!
Hi!
It's time to lean on each other.
All of you guys, so much great support.
And laugh with each other.
Cheers!
Let's do it together with caregiving chats and more. Come find us at aarp.org/near you.
My wife, I call her a drill sergeant. She gave me the inspiration to build myself up. I need to go on dialysis. Florida Blues, they gave my wife good information. What I ate, how she cooked, and everything. In fact, if I go to the store and buy something today, she'll get it and read it and say, you can't have this. And that's why I think I'm where I'm at today.
So we have 4 gold sponsors of the coalition this year: Community Hospice and Palliative Care, Florida Blue, Baptist Health Agewell Center for Senior Health, and Mayo Clinic, and our renewing silver sponsor, AARP. So with that, I want to welcome Loretta Veney. Loretta's mom was diagnosed with dementia in 2006, and since then, Loretta has learned everything she could about the disease and how to care for her mom and herself. She has published 2 books now, and they share about her journey as a caregiver and what has inspired and motivated her through dark times. And she has also traveled to share her story with caregivers everywhere. So Loretta, we are so happy to have you here today. And I really look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much. Can you see the slides?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right, let me see. All right, let's see if it'll let me share now. It said I had to wait. So there we go. All right, how about now? I think we're good. Awesome. Well, it is my absolute pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon at the end of your conference. I'm sorry I couldn't join you earlier today. I had other commitments as well, but I'm thrilled to be here now with you and close out your day with lifting the spirit of the caregiver. This is one of my favorite sessions. And I think we cover a lot of good topics that will help you on days when, you may be feeling a little bit down. And so if you've ever been on my website, lorettaveney.com, it says, I help caregivers move from I give up to I've got this. So let's go over some strategies of how to do that. So we have just a few objectives for today. We're going to start with the foundation of caregiving. How did you end up being a caregiver? Where are you now? And then I think two of the things that helped me the most in now the 16 years that we've been handling is a great word to say for my mom's Alzheimer's. And so I've learned so much about being fully present with them and appreciating the time that we have together, and then uncovering our joy, because didn't it get kind of covered up during COVID? Oh my, anyway. And then I'm going to end with some joyful practices that I hope you can use well after today. Now, take a look at this. I'm a visual girl, so take a look at this infographic on the screen. It is one of the coolest things because it's a perfect snapshot of what we go through. And if you're looking at the screen, I know it's kind of little, but it handles all the things of caregiving, work, and caregiving activities. We're going from here to there, doing stuff, and then we're trying to research different programs that we might need for the people we're caring for, and other research we might have to do. And there's just not enough time in the day. But what we're going to be focusing on is that bottom right-hand part of the screen, which talks about self-care. And I know you might be thinking, Loretta, I don't have time for that, girl. But you really do. You really do. We have to make some time. So that is the overall experience. And we're going to just focus on that one thing for today. I know you've learned a lot of other things today about how to deal with different behaviors and things like that. So now we're just going to focus on you, which I think is a perfect way to end your conference. Now, the picture you're looking at, that's my mom, Doris, my Wonder Woman, as people on Facebook and LinkedIn have called her. And this is one of my favorite pictures of hers. And this is probably several years ago. And it just, sort of gives you a good glimpse into the love that we have for each other. And I was asked a few years ago if I could sort of sum up what it is like to care, for someone, and particularly someone with Alzheimer's, but this really does cover just what every spectrum, no matter what it is that the person has that you're caring for. And my quote is this, and feel free to use this. And so my quote has always been, caregiving is the most challenging and rewarding job in the world. It's like starring in that action movie you never auditioned for. Anybody felt like that? Yeah. And, it's amazing. So I just want to thank you all for being the caregiver stars that you are. And I just really want you to applaud yourselves. And I think, no matter who we're caring for or how long we've been doing it, we're doing a great job. And we know we're doing the best job that we can. So one of the things that I want us to focus on is the foundation of caregiving. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't know how many of you may recognize the picture that you see on the screen. My husband and I did a lot of traveling, and that picture is Ephesus in Turkey. So letter of Paul in the Bible to the Ephesians. Yeah, Ephesus is a real place. And what I want you to look closely at that picture and see is there is nothing inside that building. There's just the foundation. There's a front wall and a back wall. That's it. Nothing in between. If you look closer, you can see some people's heads in there. The center of it is all fallen down and crumbled. And I equate that with caregiving, because sometimes think about our worst day as a caregiver. You're like, oh, I just cannot do this another minute. And you think you're just going to totally fall apart. But you don't. Your foundation is always going to be there. You're so much stronger than you think. And you're really not going to crumble. You just continue to stand straight up. And, the little bullets I have on the side there say, As we are, embracing the joys of caregiving, sometimes it involves us stripping all the way down to that foundation, looking at how we got started, who are the people we're caring for, kind of how we got here. And stripping down also involves grieving. Now, don't worry, you're not in the wrong session. Like, hey, I thought this was going to be joyful. Why is she talking about grieving? Well, let me tell you why. Don't leave yet. Grieving is really the result of the loss of the expectations that you all may have had for the relationship with the person that you're caring for. Maybe you had planned on going on that trip around the world, or like me, traveling in your RV, and then that person gets sick. The veteran that you're caring for, has some sort of injury or disease, and now that's going to impact what you may be able to do in the future. But it doesn't mean we lose the ability to have joy. So grieving that relationship, that's perfectly normal. And it involves our mind, our heart, and our soul. And that picture you're looking at of me, I went to Pennsylvania, to a state park with 22 waterfalls. Who knew that existed? It really does. We did all 22 in the same day. It was 7 miles. And I mean, just the most freeing thing I've ever done. And one of the best things I've done for self-care. It was challenging, yet exhilarating. And I know we may not have days like that every day, but I want you to think about a picture of yours or a place you've been that gives you that exhilarating and joyful experience. And that might help you on a bad caregiving day. And so what we're going to cover now are some of the gifts along the journey of grieving, because they can bring you joy, as bad as that may sound. So look, I wrapped it all up in a box for you and everything. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about hope in the beginning, and faith and trust in some of the decisions we make. I know we all believe different things. We may not all be religious, but most of us believe in something. And then we're going to talk about gratitude in a few minutes. And then I'm going to leave you with some joy. How about that? And I hope that sounds like a good time for you. So the piece that I want us to really think about is there is hope. One of the things that results in that I just can't do it anymore, feeling that we get sometimes as caregivers is because we feel we're all in this alone. There's just nobody else with us. And that's just not true. I want you to always know you are never alone. I think that the more we can focus on what's out there to help us, the better off we are. So as you can see, you have the Department of Veterans Affairs and all of their caregiver support programs. And I just looked at a few of the veteran pages on Facebook that are caregiver support groups that are phenomenal. One of the things I have to say is that I have always been closer to folks who are in these support groups with me than I am to some of the people in my own family, because if they're not caregivers, they don't really understand what we go through. And so maybe you have that same experience as well. But I want to read you this quote for Lisa Gibbons. And she's been around forever, a media personality, and she has a caregiving thing outside Atlanta called Lisa's Care Connection. And it's phenomenal. And she has this blog and different quotes that she uses. And this is one of my favorite ones. And I want to read this one to you. I know you can read, but it's powerful. Realize that there is no ideal enough. Even if you spent every second with your loved one and you attended to their every need, you would still find something to feel guilty about. And guilt is just that pervasive, and it can eat you alive. And that's not what we want. And I'm sure you know that there are a lot of statistics out there about how many caregivers die before the person they're caring for. But we want you to be healthy and vibrant and joyful, no matter how difficult your caregiving journey may be. So there is some hope for sure. And hope is really, really uplifting. One of the funniest things about my mom and I is that, AARP, if you've ever been on their website, they have these caregiver stories, and they named me the entertainment director. And it fits me because I was always searching for activities for my mom so that she could be engaged all the time. And one of the things I hope you take away from the day is that sometimes if you just find one piece of hope, just a little piece, don't need a lot, just a little piece enough. Sometimes it's enough to get you through the day with your loved ones, your patients, or your residents every single day. And hope And sharing it really does keep you uplifted. And I think that's good. And so one ray of hope is sometimes all you need to get through the whole day. That works for me. And I always say I meet with a lot of families. I meet with, just dozens of caregivers. I had a speech this morning as well, a breakfast thing. And I always say, even if you're having a bad day today, tomorrow might be better. And I always look at that like, phew, glad this day is over. And there's nothing wrong with exhaling at the end of the day and congratulating yourself. And yes, I made it through that day. So that's our first piece, hope. And the next gift of, grieving what you may not have with that relationship anymore is the faith and trust that we have to have in ourselves. And, our faith can provide us with whatever the strength and compassion that we need for, every single day that we're filling this caregiving role. And I love that picture there. And your eyes are not deceiving you. If you're asking yourself, hey, are those Lego bricks in that picture? The answer is yeah. And it's, amazingly, the only connection I have with my mom. And I'll tell you more about that as we go through. And she's building a house, which what a lot of Alzheimer's folks do. They want to build a house and go home. And so there you have that. And the person sitting next to me, it was the gentleman that I was lucky enough to be married to for 30 years. We missed 31 by just a few weeks. And I swear, if you looked up compassion in the dictionary, Tim's picture would appear. He did everything for my mom, drove her to any kind of physical therapy she may need. She had a fall a couple of times, and he took her to lunch, and they would go on all these activities. I was working every day; they out having fun, but he was just stunning. And then one day, while we were on vacation in New York, he died. And the first thing that popped into my mind was, "Wow, how does my mother outlive my husband?" And that's Tim's funeral. And one of the reasons I'm showing you that is because it was a joyful celebration. Tim's favorite color was orange. Our whole house is orange. And we asked everybody to wear orange. You can see the priest had on orange. The casket was orange. The flowers were orange. We did the orange thing. And Tim would have been thrilled. And I think I got so much from that day 5 years ago. And our 36th anniversary was this past Tuesday. And I commemorated and celebrated him by giving this, amazing presentation in upstate New York, which is interesting. I have a love-hate relationship given that he died there. But it was a wonderful day and he would have loved it. And I think as the years went on, 5 years now without him, I think I've gained more trust in all the decisions that I've had to make without him. We were Team Veney, and we made all our decisions about my mom together. And so one of the hardest decisions I've had to make without him was the decision to put my mom in hospice. I was told, she was rushed to the hospital, and I was told she was in liver failure and had days to live. My mother always wanted to be in hospice. My grandmother and my aunts had done that, and my sister. And so she didn't want tubes or anything. So I said, I'll put her in hospice and take her back to the group home where she lived. And you can see she's enjoying that memo. But here's the thing. My mama is still here. She clearly did not get the memo that she was dying. And so it'll be 6 months tomorrow since they said she was dying. So, clearly you never know. But it was such a tough decision for me, but I knew I was following her wishes. So I want you all to be confident in even the difficult decisions that we have to make, because, we have to make them at times, but they make us so much stronger for the caregiver journey when we have confidence in the decisions that we have to make. Gratitude. Wow, where would we be with all the things in our lives that, we should be grateful for? The woman in that picture with my mom is the best caregiver on earth. She is the lead caregiver in the group home where my mom lives. And she had, gotten us through this mound of hospice paperwork last week. And I went to the grocery store to get something. I had never seen a thank you balloon like that. I was like, oh, look at this. Thanks for everything you do. So I got the balloon for her from me and mom to celebrate. We appreciate you. She didn't have to do the hospice paperwork for me, but she did that. And I'm so grateful for them. So if I asked you to put in the chat, if you want to put one or two things that you are grateful for, then look back on those things on the days when you're not having a great caregiving day, and that will uplift you as well. So gratitude can be so powerful. So here are my 3 things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the 10 years that Tim was able to help me care for my mom. They were inseparable, I have to say. And, because of my mom's progression of her disease, I never had to tell her that he died. And so that was actually a beautiful thing for me. I'm also grateful that Life Springs Elder Care, that's the name of the facility where my mom is. It's a beautiful home, and they love her as much as I do. They fight over taking care of my mama. And so she not only is getting amazing care, they engage her every single day, even the 99.9 days of the lockdown. So very amazing. And I recently retired from, as we say, my government job in June to focus on speaking and doing Lego stuff full time. And I believe this is the work I was born to do. So I am thrilled to now just have one job in addition to the caregiving stuff I have to do. So I hope you have some similar things that you're grateful for in your life. Now, as we go through this, you're like, okay, Loretta, I don't know about this whole joy thing. But one of the things I want to share with you is that when we're unable to find our joy and the things that can come about as a result of our caregiving, it can lead to things we don't want: anger, resentment. My siblings said they were going to help me. I ain't seen them since, that kind of thing. But we just have to embrace where we are, what we have to work with, because if we don't, it can lead to the things we don't want: illness and death. So hopefully we can find some joy. I took this picture in Maui quite a few years ago. And what's funny about this picture is that every morning I sat on this balcony and just looked at the water. And people who know me well know that I rarely sit still. So nobody believes I really sat there every day, but I really did. And every morning, that's how I started. So maybe you might not be on the water, but maybe you can sit at the beginning of a day with your cup of coffee, or a magazine that you can flip through really quickly before your caregiving duties start, just to center yourself and take a seat to take care of you. And these pictures, some of which you'll see, are from my Refreshment for the Caregiver Spirit book, which has all the pictures of all the amazing places that Tim and I were able to travel to, and the motivational sayings like the one you're looking at that I hope can inspire people on the days where they need a little pick-me-up. And so take a seat to take care of you. So those are the gifts of grieving, that we know your relationship has changed, but you can still find joy in the faith and hope and the trust that you have, and then also being able to take care of yourself as well. So we hope that will help you. The gifts of grieving and the gifts that come along with caregiving will take you a long way. And that brings us to appreciating time and physical presence. And the picture on the left was taken by the Washington Post years ago. And for a long time, my mother had no idea who I was, but she could still name everybody in that yearbook. Isn't that amazing? And so quite the thing. So lots of people come to see that. And there we are, still building with Legos. And as I said, she does not understand that she's in hospice. Nor does she care. We just doing what we've always done in our only connection, which are the Lego bricks. So you can see my mask says I'm smiling, and I try to take advantage of every single second I have with her. But that wasn't an easy journey to get to. When you're dealing with somebody with dementia in particular, what's interesting about that is, they say the same thing over and over and over. So after 15 minutes, you're kind of like, oh, what do I do now? But I learned to appreciate all the moments I have with her by this trip that I took to Prague. And what you're looking at is Prague sort of town square. And if you've never been there, take a close look at that picture, and there's a clock on the top of the tower there. And I put that in my Refreshment for the Caregiver Spirit book with the caption, "Moments are more precious when you're not watching the clock." And I'm a true multitasker. I know a lot of you on this call are too. And we doing 10 to 12 things at the same time. But what I noticed about the week I spent in Prague, I had spoken in Prague, and my husband and I stayed for quite a while. And we would go to this town square every day. And it's not that the people didn't have phones, cell phones, they did. They just don't look at them while they're in the square. They're looking at each other and connecting, and the kids were kicking soccer balls around, and the older women were talking about what they were going to get at the market and what they were going to fix for dinner, and the men were playing cards or dominoes or chess, and they were just having a great old time. And I'm thinking, I should do that. And so when I go in, unless I'm taking a picture of my mom, I try to put the phone down and not be, reading the book or doing other things, but just focusing on being fully present with her. And it was like, I know people say life-changing a whole lot. It was life-changing for me, honestly. And I want you to start that process of just appreciating the time you have. Now that picture, that's quite the picture for me. That's my granddaughter, Kendall. That was exactly 5 years ago. It was 1 hour after my husband died. And he died in Cooperstown, New York, and where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. And right across from that was this huge Episcopal church. We're Episcopalian. And we stumbled over there and fell on the ground and we cried and cried. And my granddaughter picked those flowers and said, "Pappy wouldn't want y'all to cry." Oh my. She was 4.5 when he died. She'll be 10 in December. And I know we got up off that ground and, really, time to smell those roses. I'm sure she wasn't supposed to pick the flowers, but okay. And I knew, though, that even though Tim was gone, I didn't have a lot of regrets other than the fact that he wasn't here. And it's because of the second bullet, which says, don't put off tomorrow to what you can do today. And we lived our 30s. We dated for 5 years and we were married for 30, as I said. But we lived every minute as if it was our life. We had fun all 24 hours, which is hard to believe. My daughter moved out. She was like in her early 20s, and people were like, "Man, I can't believe you're moving out. You have the best parents ever." And my daughter's response was, "They too happy for me." And so, don't hate us for being happy, but it was just so cool. And, just remember, one of the reasons why I don't deal with, negative people is because you're never gonna get that time back. And so how many of you have negative people in your life? And so I get rid of them. And I love this picture from the book, which says, encourage the negative people in your life to fly away. We had spoken in Dubai and we went on a hot air balloon ride. And I took the picture of the balloon in front of us. And, like I said, whether it's, you have siblings who aren't helping you or neighbors who said they would help out and they didn't, don't spend time focusing on the negativity of your caregiving experience. Because like I said, you're never going to get that time back. And I'm not going to let anybody waste my time with my mom. I go and I make the most. Right now we're doing sort of semi-outdoor visits, of course, with the surge and COVID again. And I can see her for, 30 minutes at a time. And I make the most out of those 30 minutes. And so I hope that, one of the things that I hope you take away is thinking of how you can maybe more appreciate the time you have. And being physically present, as I said, I don't read a book or the phone or anything. I just sit with her. And, I really hate it when people stop visiting when our loved ones are sick, no matter what the disease is, because people don't want to be around illness, especially probably not dementia. And people says, well, I stopped going because, we don't have anything to talk about. Okay, well, how about you just sit there? How about you do that? And especially, think about all the things our relatives did for other people. Now, when they're sick, nobody comes. Okay. And so I just say, you don't always need words. How about just sit there? And one of the ways I get through and have gotten through this now 15 years with this crazy disease is I don't focus on all the stuff she can no longer do because I'd be crazy. What I focus on is all the things that she can still do. Now look at that. In hospice, she can still write. She still knows her name. She will answer when you call her name, and she can still write her first name. She doesn't remember her last name, but that's okay. She can tell you her name is Doris, and I started the D with this little dot paint set that's washable, and that somebody sent me for my mom as a gift. And it's amazing. And she can absolutely still do that. So I just focus on all the things that she can still do. What you're looking at on the left-hand side of the page is the Wonder Woman blanket I gave her for Mother's Day, because as I said, she's not supposed to be here, according to what they say. I don't know what all happens with liver failure, but that's what they told me she was in. So clearly she looks good to me, and we're just going to go with that. And so being fully present with her every time I'm with her. I also saw her this morning. So I've had a very busy day while you all were in this great conference. And I just take advantage of every time. So I hope being physically present with your loved one or folks that you're caring for will help you, see the sheer value and enjoyment that you can get from all of these, sessions. Now, I say that being physically present is great, but I am also aware of how much energy it can take You are looking at the United States Virgin Islands Caregivers Association group, and there are 150 caregivers there, and they go away for this wonderful weekend where they're wined and dined and treated like royalty. I met them 6 weeks after Tim died. I was the keynote speaker on a Friday night and a Saturday morning, and Tim and I were supposed to go and sightsee after that. And I wrote a blog that said the caregivers cared for me, because once, Tim wasn't there, I didn't cancel. They asked me if I wanted to cancel, but I didn't. I went anyway, and they lifted me up like I've never been lifted up before. You can see them jumping around and doing Zumba in that picture. And they really saved me, I think. And, I know you need energy for this kind of work. And so my things that have worked so well for me over this 15 years is the most challenging tasks we have, whether they were doctor's appointment when we could go to the doctor, or any other challenging things. You have to take the keys from dad so he can stop driving at this point. And, it's not safe for them to do things. But sometimes these things are very challenging and they take a lot of energy. So I always say I'm a morning girl. So I do anything that's going to be difficult for me in the morning. And so I hope that helps you as well. And you know the drill. We're supposed to eat and eat well and rest well. I don't sleep well, but I try my best. And I've certainly gotten better since I have retired and now only have one job. But if you don't take away anything else from today, I would love it if you would take away celebrating every success you have in caregiving. Because, some days you might not have a success. So I want you to think of a song that you can use to play, in your home or facility, wherever you are, to celebrate your success. And I'm going to play 40 seconds for you of the song that my mom and I use to celebrate our successes. Feel free to dance around. Celebrate good times, come on. Whoops, we lost it, but you get the drill, right? Isn't that the coolest thing? I love that song. So like I said, if you don't like that song, find a song. And I've gotten so many emails from folks who say, oh, Loretta, that was fabulous. We haven't danced in years. And like I said, sometimes you might go days without a good thing. They might throw their food on the floor, or you couldn't get them in the shower today. That's okay. It's always tomorrow. So when you have something that goes great, celebrate it, because you'll feel so much better. So I hope that was helpful for you. So the last two things we have to do are talking about how do we uncover joy. Man, did COVID steal a lot of stuff from us. So it might be buried down some way. We might have to dig deep, but we can uncover it. One of my favorite things is, my mom and I go to McDonald's. She had never been to McDonald's before dementia. Now that 99-cent Sunday brings out so much, joy in her. So we used to love to do that. And what you're looking at on the right side is the virtual visit, seeing my mom behind the glass during the first lockdown. Holy cow, I made a Lego replica of it and put that thing on LinkedIn, and people went crazy. And it absolutely captured what it was like looking at my mom through that glass. It was probably one of the most painful things that I'd done. Now, I'd never been separated from my mother like that, and certainly not for 99 days. So it was killing. I remember crying to one of my best friend in the world about how upset I was about not seeing my mom. And she gave it, because I was honest about how I was feeling. I don't hate it when people say, well, how you doing during COVID? I'm fine. I was not fine. I'm sure a lot of you were not fine. And so, okay. And so, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, that it was so great getting those pillows from my best friend. And so what I want you all to do is to focus on the joy in life. So reminisce with photos that bring joy and peace. And one of my favorite things that uplifts me when we're having a bad caregiving day, and that is trying something new. But if the best advice I can give you, if you have never experienced it, is to get a joy folder, start a joy folder. I have one on my phone. I have one in my file cabinet here next to my desk. and I have all these cards up. And what a joy folder is. You can see my Lego version of it. And I put all kinds of things in it that people send me. And so that when I'm feeling down, I can go to the joy folder and read a card that says, "You're the best thing ever," or "Great presentation." Now look at those rocks on the left-hand side of the screen. When I gave a presentation in Ohio, I have no idea who sent me these rocks, but there were 300 or 400 people in the room, and a woman sent me this set of rocks that you're looking at, along with a copy of her evaluation where she put, "Loretta could motivate a rock." It is like the best gift ever. And so that's in my joy box. And, I just want you to, think about what you could put in your joy folder, or I have a folder on my phone, which I'll show you some of the pictures that are in that. And these are just some of me and Tim's travel around the world. There we are walking on a glacier in Alaska, and Tim was 6 feet 3 inches tall. We went to Utah in our RV for his 65th birthday, which was his last birthday. And there he is at 6 feet 3 inches tall, standing next to a very large rock. And then our 2015 Christmas card was when I spoke in Dubai. We also went to Egypt, and that's me, my daughter, and my husband in front of the pyramids. And then on the right, my mother's favorite movie was The Sound of Music. And so we did the Sound of Music tour in Switzerland. I don't know what we were thinking. We weren't hikers at the time, but oh my gosh, it was cool. And then the middle picture was fabulous. Our 23rd anniversary, we did Italy, Greece, Croatia, Turkey. And that's us on our actual anniversary day in Venice doing the gondola ride. It was the best money we've ever spent. So those are some of the things in my joy folder. And to make sure I look at my joy every day, I have a cup of joy, and I want to, here it is live. It's purple for Alzheimer's, and I want to read to you what it says, and I hope it will help you. A cup of joy for the happiest day ever. Today, I'm going to focus on all of the good things in my life. I will radiate optimism and gratitude. I will think it, feel it, speak it. I will see today as a new beginning, another chance to complain less and appreciate more. I will be so happy that when other people look at me, they will be happy too. So that's my cup of joy I had to share with you. And then our last segment is really about, how do you put this into play? You're having a really bad day. How do you come up with some of these joyful practices? Well, I have some good suggestions. And what you're looking at on the screen is my joy. My sister, who's at the top left, unfortunately had MS. And when you get MS in your 50s, you get something called progressive. So 2006 was the same year my mother was diagnosed with dementia, and my sister was diagnosed with MS. So 2006 was a really bad year for us. And I started doing the MS 2-day, they used to have a 2-day marathon that they did, a fundraiser. And I started doing that as soon as my sister was diagnosed. And what she's wearing around her neck in that picture is the first medal I got. And I now have 7. And I gave her the very first one. And she wore that thing, and it gave her a lot of hope. And she died in 2011, and we ended up burying that medal with her. She worshiped that thing. And in the weirdest of all weird things, my sister and my husband died on the same day, July 17th, 5 years apart. Just a crazy thing. But you can see in the middle picture there, there's the team. I did the marathons mostly by myself, but the year after my sister died, my niece did it with me, and her aunt, and my best friend Jan from church. And so we had a really great team. And the rest of the pictures really just capture the joy. You see one of the 22 waterfalls of the place that I went to in June, this past June. And it really restored me. And I don't know if you've ever seen 22 waterfalls in the same place. I'm also a Zumba girl. It's me and my little next door neighbor, who is the best Zumba instructor ever. And then the picture on the bottom left is the Mother's Day luncheon that they had at the group home. And we were able to all gather because it was outside. And a fabulous thing that, of course, my mother wasn't supposed to be here for. So, find some things that bring you joy and do them over and over and over if you need to. So we do a lot of play around here, that's for sure. My granddaughter that you saw a picture of when she was 4.5, we started getting her and my mother together for play dates, if that's what you want to call it, when she was 2. You can see they're doing the Easter egg hunt, and they worship each other. I mean, as I said, she's almost 10. And of course, she's very upset that she's not vaccinated yet, because she cannot be, and so thus she can't see my mom. So she's very sad about that, but they do some FaceTime. And so you see great pictures of us, and my mother's best friend wearing the hat and doing the Legos. They've been friends since kindergarten. And as I said, everybody sends me activities for my mom. My most popular presentation that I've done 47 times since COVID started is engaging activities for every Alzheimer's stage. And so people were calling me, help, what am I supposed to do with mom all day, or dad? You know, the adult daycare is closed. So I put up a lot of photos of us still doing Legos. That was last Monday, the one in the middle of us doing the little Lego bricks and the big Lego bricks called Duplos. And we can still do that. Like I said, that was one day last week. She has on a sweater because it was really cold that day. It's cold today too. But I don't, you know, as I said, we used to play ball outside, but now that she's in hospice and inside, we still throw the ball around, which you can see on the bottom right. So we do a lot of playing and laughing and dancing and singing and all of these kinds of things that, you know, make us laugh. There's a better picture of Miss Adams and mom on mom's 90th birthday 2 years ago. And they just laugh about nothing, which is what we do a lot. And there's mom on her 91st birthday, which was a week before the lockdown. And there we are dancing. Was one of her favorite things to do. And I'm so thankful for the picture on the top left. It was me and Tim's 25th anniversary celebration. And who knew that we did our vow renewal, and it was a fabulous day. And I'm so glad I have that memory. I want you to look at the picture on the right, the top right, because sometimes you just have to laugh. I'm obviously taking a selfie of the two of us, and mom's looking right into the camera, and she says, how did we get into that box? You're kind of like, oh man, but she is just a hoot and has never lost her sense of humor. And just, you know, she's my Wonder Woman for sure. But my mother taught us not to just keep, you know, what works to ourselves. So even though my mother has not known me for 7 years, 2014 was the last time she'd known me. So she calls me a very nice person, but she taught us to share whatever, you know, we had that works with other people. So you can see I brought the Lego joy to lots of other people. The people on the left are at an intergenerational center in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And the people on the right are at a memory care facility about 20 minutes from my home. And we just have a blast building joy. And I can also do it online. And there's that. I've been working with Johns Hopkins. I've been helping their caregivers build joy and hope. And I'm also on one of the boards for Hilarity for Charity, HFC. And I also did a Lego session for them. They wanted to embrace caregiver challenges. So, you know, this COVID thing didn't stop everything. And so we've been able to do a lot online, much as we are doing now. So don't give up on the engagement and the joy. You can still uncover, you know, just find a way to get it done. And I want to spend a minute on this whole thing about support system. If we were live, I'd be asking you right now to write down who are the people in your support system. Right before my husband died, we met this group of women at a camping trip called RVing Women. And my husband had to investigate what they were because, you know, he said, well, and when he met the women, he said, well, if anything ever happens to me, you make sure Loretta keeps camping. And 6 weeks later, when I called the lady, she did not believe he had died. And I've been with them for 5 years. You see my RV on the bottom left, her name is Joy. What else would her name be? And if you look closely, you can see her little name in orange there. And the RVing Women, they are definitely part of my support system. Of course, my daughter and my granddaughter. But the bigger support system I had, especially right after Tim died, to help me with all the tasks he had done for my mother, my church started a support group just for me. And they each asked me to write out all the tasks that Tim did for my mom, and they each one took a task. And how cool is that? These are the best guys ever. You can see there's one guy in the back, so he got all the, you know, mechanical things around the house that I needed done. So, you know, you take advantage of the one man. And but these women they just got me through so many things, and it was amazing. So I want you to always remember your support system and use them. Be very specific about what you need and want from them. Now, you know, not everybody prays or meditate, but it's, you know, it's certainly an option. That is the Episcopal Church I mentioned that was right across the street from the hospital where Tim died. And, you know, it was quite the sanctuary for me, but there are lots of things you can do. Even if you're not religious, you can journal, you can meditate and, you know, help lift yourself up. I write a lot in a journal that I have, and it's really helped me. One of the things I love to do even more than church, though, actually, honestly, is hiking, and this was one of my favorite hikes in Switzerland. I didn't get too close to the edge. Tim took that picture because, yeah, I was not. You can see there's no fence. I'm not rolling down the side of the mountain in Switzerland, but it's a gorgeous picture. We were up above the clouds, as you can see, and it was just so restorative for me. And I hope you find places like that where you can do too. I love mandalas as well. The inside of my RV, I just decorated with me and Tim's favorite color of mandalas, and that brings people a lot of peace. Or you can try meditations, because as you can see on the screen, there's lots of benefits to it, healthy things that we can gain from it. So I have a couple of meditations that I love. One of them is only like 7 minutes long, and it can be more restorative than we think, especially on a busy caregiving day. Because people say, Loretta, I don't have 15 or 20 minutes to sit down and look at some meditation thing. Well, that could be true. But how about 7 minutes? You have 7 minutes? That could work. And I also use lots of apps, and I'll share a couple with you as we get to the close of our thing. There really is an app for that. There's a lot of joy. You're looking at my actual app screen. My mindfulness at the top left is my meditation apps, and then I'll show you some of the rest. Now, my mother loved to color. My third book is actually a coloring book called Colors Flowing from Her Mind. And what's interesting about that is that I did it when she could no longer do these kinds of apps where you have to color in very small spaces. And so I made a coloring book for her, which has big open spaces that she can color in. These coloring apps, all you need is your finger. You tap on it, and the color, you pick the color you want, and it fills it in. It's really cool. And if you don't like it, hit the undo button and it goes away. It's so cool. And she did that for years. So hopefully that will, help some of you. It's really cool. I actually bought it for me, but it worked wonders driving around with her in the car when she was filled with anxiety. So I hope some of the coloring apps may help you all too. This is my favorite app of all time. It is called Relax Melodies. There's a free version and a paid version, and it's just sounds that you can keep and record and play when you need to feel uplifted. Now, those sounds are really amazing. And what I love about Relax Melodies that's different from Calm, which you now see on the screen, is that in Relax Melodies, you can keep the sounds that you think it becomes a song, and have an actual playlist. And so the things that my mother made, she loved flute and wind and piano and harp, and she would make those sounds, and then I would play it back. And so some of her favorite ones, the things that calmed her down the quickest, those became our favorite, and we could play them over and over. I have friends who cannot go to sleep without Relax Melodies. It has a timer on it, and when you push the timer, it counts back from 30 minutes, and you don't even remember the last 20. You're sleeping the first 10, and so it's a powerful thing. So I hope that helps you as well. Calm is very similar, except it doesn't let you record sounds, but the screen moves. So like the thunderstorm that's on the bottom right, that's a little too much for me, but it's quite the thing. The other thing that Calm has that Relax Melodies does not, they have sleep stories. I can't tell you how much I like them because I never listened to one because they're too slow for me. So like, for example, just to hear the title, tonight's story is all about, I've changed the channel by that. It was like way too slow for me, but hopefully it'll make some of you happy, but it was just too much for me. But I love the daily meditations I get in my email from Calm, and just looking at the picture of the water floating by, that's way cool. So if I'm in a doctor's office or, in some place and I'm not, feeling my best, I'll look at the, especially if you think you'll get bad news, I will look at some of the scenes flying by, and and a calmness really does come over me. So it's titled very appropriately for sure. I have two versions of a grateful journal, and This one has affirmations. You can add things and add pictures, and you can play. Some of them have words that you can listen to as opposed to just reading. But my favorite one is called the Grateful Journal. You can add pictures and video. I don't write in it every day, but I write in it quite a bit. March 23rd, that was just a horrible day when they told me, she was dying, and, she looked like she was dying too. And then I stayed with her all night, and she sort of came around, and the doctor says, oh, you talked her back to life, I guess, but there you have it. And in the middle picture is interesting. We're going to be featured in Robin Roberts from Good Morning America. She has a show called Thriver Thursday, where she profiles people that have a lot of joy and thrive, I guess. And somehow we were selected as for one of the episodes in season 4. So I guess you can look out for that. So they spent 2 days with us here in Maryland filming. It was quite the adventure for us. And then I wrote this on Sunday. I go up to the group home, and she is eating lunch on a silver platter. I'm thinking, why is your lunch on a silver platter? So I comment on it, and she says, yes, because I'm good. I'm like, and where did that come from? She is a woman. And I had to write about that. And, just look at her face. She's like, of course it's a silver platter. I'm special. And so I hope it made her feel special. It was just such a funny thing. And I try to capture these things because you lose track of time when you've been caregiving for a long time. And so when you scroll back and look at, hey, I remember that day now, because you don't always remember it on the bad days. So if you like to write, you can, grab this journal app, and it is way cool, I have to say. And so that has saved me a lot too. And so the thing I think I really, love leaving you with is just the suggestions that, find something that really helps you, get through those tough days, avoid burnout, which is what we don't want. I mean, our theme today was self-care, caring for you in the midst of all the other things you have to do. The picture on the right is of one of the things from the coloring book she and I did together. The picture on the left is interesting. It's a game called We See, and it's just 220 pictures. And, it's a sort of a game for people of all ages, but my mom just likes looking at the pictures. Somebody sent that to me to see how she liked it. As you can see, she loves it. Look at the focus on her face. And I didn't think she was responding to the pictures. However, there is a picture of an ice cream cone that has fallen on the ground, right? My mother takes one look at that picture. Ice cream is her favorite food. And the minute she sees that picture, my mother says, oh, no. As if no ice cream was supposed to be on the ground. It is just amazing. I would never have thought she would have made any kind of connection to the pictures other than looking at them, but she clearly has. So find something that, you can connect with that makes, your day better. And you might get some surprises too, just like we get. So I'm going to leave you with this. You do not need to know precisely what is happening or exactly where it is all going. What you need is to recognize the possibilities and the challenges offered by the present moment and to embrace them with courage, faith, and hope. That is one of the things that comes along with the Grateful Journal. Every single day I get a positive message. And this is one of I've been getting this for years, and this one is still one of my all-time favorites, and it certainly covers everything we've covered today, being present in the moment and doing everything we do with courage, faith, and hope. How cool is that? So after today, I hope that you'll be able to spend your time being fully present with those that you care for, and that you'll take the time to celebrate your successes with your own song, because you deserve it. I wish for you hope for the future, gratitude for each day, and joy from the little teeny simple things. And so I hope that all of you, my friends, may be uplifted. And so with the couple of minutes we have left, I'm happy to look at the chat, or you can unmute yourselves if you have any questions for me. Let me take a quick look. The Pennsylvania, yes, it was in Pennsylvania. You're talking about the park. Judith, if you're referring to the Relaxed Melodies, that's quite the app, isn't it? Let me scroll to here. I don't see any questions, But if you have any, you have so much energy, and one I forgot about what I'm experiencing. Oh, that's so cool. Jessica, you made my day. Absolutely made my day. Thank you. And yes, I do appreciate your patience with the little log off there for a minute, but we came right back. The waterfall, I have to think of the name of the park, but if you Google it, park with 22 waterfalls, it is in Pennsylvania, upstate Pennsylvania, and there's no internet, no anything, just the 22 waterfalls. And then, oh man, best hike ever, I have to say. 7 miles though, that was quite the thing. You hike down into it and you hike back up out. Woo, quite the thing. But it was one of the most extraordinary things I have ever done. And so Glen State Park, and it is just the coolest place ever. So yeah, hopefully that'll help you. But yeah, I love these comments. Thank you so much. Wonderful, entertaining while being informative. I appreciate it. Oh, you guys are awesome. And we finished on time, even with the interrupt. Ricketts Glen, that's it. That's it. Thank you, Candace.
I Googled it while you were talking, Loretta.
I'm telling you what, and then you get a map, and all 22 are really on the map. You're like, there cannot be 22 waterfalls in this place, but there absolutely is. The tallest one's like 32 feet, man. And you just hear all the rest of them. So you don't remember to get tired, because you're waiting for the next waterfall and it's right around the corner. So yeah, it's just the coolest thing. Other than, I'm glad that I could uplift your day. That is so cool. That's why I'm here. And let me also put my email and thing in the chat. It's lwveney@lorettaveney.com, and my website is pretty easy. It is my name, lorettaveney.com. And I've been trying to, as I said, inspire. I made 2021 the year of the caregiver, because I think, we all needed some joy. Geez, what the last 18 or so months it's been. But I think, when we rely on each other and we have our support people, that's why I want people to name who their support system is, because we have to know who to call when we need it. And so I'm glad you all took some of those things away. So Candace, thank you so much for having me. This was a thrill, and I'm glad they got quite a bit out of it too. Yay.
Thank you, Loretta.
You're welcome.